Let's see if I can make the Wi-Fi work.
Do we know what, I saw the land south of the hospital, south of the rehab hospital. Is that anything?
They were buying 3 acres.
I think it's there's our guest right there.
Lacey, just checking. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, thank you. Well, I believe it's time to go. I'm running a minute behind, looks like. We'll go ahead and get started with our planning and zoning meeting for March 23rd, 2026. And as always, thanks everyone for being here. And we'll always start with the approval of our minutes from our previous meeting on February 23rd. Same year, if you've had time to take a peek and look it over, be looking for a motion to approve. If you see amendments or changes, let us know those.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the February meeting.
Okay, we have a second.
Second it.
Go ahead and roll call, Megan, when you get time.
Suzanne Daniel.
Aye.
Trevor Branch is absent. Adam Brown.
Aye.
Chad Zickafoose.
Aye.
Hadley Goldberg.
Abstain.
Jeff Garrison.
Aye.
Lacey Colbert.
Aye.
Caleb Berger is absent. And Pete Renfro.
Aye.
The ayes have it.
Thank you. And we have no scheduled visitors or guests or unfinished business, so we'll move right on into our new business for this evening. First on the agenda for new business.
Put it on silent.
Somebody was calling me. BYVAR, that's a new one, for variance -26-0001. We have a property location of 2225 North 20th Street. Property owner is Impact Church of the Ozarks. It's asking for an alternative landscape plan request. It is a modification of buffer yard B landscaping requirements along north and west property lines. Who's going to be heading that up? Randall, it's your turn.
That's right. I will take these. Good evening. Okay. So we have used the word variance a bit. We're going to not use that word. We're going to stick with the code language of alternative landscaping plan. So maybe in the future, we'll try not to use that word. And I say that just because these don't go to the Board of Adjustment. These come exclusively to you all. So the code specifically says the Planning and Zoning Commission can approve these, and it doesn't use the word variance. It uses a similar word, but in the planning world, using the word variance is usually associated with the Board of Adjustment, and we don't want to confuse the public or anyone thinking that's the process we aren't going through. So just a little clarification. But so this is a request on behalf of the Impact Church of the Ozarks on 20th Street. They've purchased this property at Zone C2. It's south of the River Ranch Apartments. Those were, I think, at one time called N20 or North 20 Apartments. And that property zoned multifamily. When you've got, and the interesting part about this is on the west side, you'll see where it says buffer yard B. They have a driveway that goes down to, is it? I can't remember the road there. What's on the south? No, it says it
On
right
the
there. but I
south,
can't see.
Richwood.
Richwood Road, excuse me. Yeah, their
Okay,
driveway
sorry,
comes
sorry.
down there. And that road is actually zone C2 as well. So when the apartments went in, they had to construct a buffer yard A on the north side and a buffer yard B on the west side because of the single family development. So going into this, the church is looking at, they've already got a buffer yard on the north side and the west side, but now that they're coming in, they have to meet the buffer yard requirements because they're a C2 property going up against an R3 property. So they've requested some modifications to those buffer yard requirements. So we'll go through those a little bit. This one gets a little confusing because there is one on the north and one on the west. So I divided them up a bit. So the request on the west side first, they're basically asking to waive the privacy fence requirement. And we're supportive of that. It's this is what the normal buffer yard would require for a B fence and a series of plantings, landscaping, trees, shrubs. This is kind of what it looks like in somewhat real time. The apartments were under construction at the time. But again, the privacy fence is already there from the buffer yard A, and it's on the west side of that long driveway. I think I've got a better picture of it. There you go. This is looking south. So you can see the driveway, you can see the existing fence, and you can see some of the original plantings from that buffer yard. The buffer yard was put in there because of the Creek Bridge subdivision. And if you look at it, in essence, there's potentially could be 3 fences. One in the backyards of the subdivision, one from the previous buffer yard, and then if the church were to install one, that would be a 3rd buffer yard in approximately 75 feet. So their request is justified. So what they're basically doing is making a request on the requirements that are in the code, saying that it's really, there's a buzzword there that I'm losing. I'm sorry. I've got a slide that has that on there and I just went past it. Never mind, it doesn't matter. So we'll jump to the north side of the buffer yard requirements. So they've asked for again, there was a buffer yard A required on the north side. They're asking for a waiver of some of the requirements from a buffer yard B. So they've asked on that eastern 240 feet. So that'd be the first 240 feet closest to 20th Street. They're asking to waive the planting requirements, those existing trees. And I've got a picture here to show you. They want to leave those in lieu of tearing them or cutting them down and putting up a fence and planting new trees. They've also asked that the entire fence along that northern property line be waived. And I've got some examples of why that's practical. Main reason is that there's a grade separation. The apartments sit about 10 feet higher than the church's property. So putting in a fence would kind of be unnecessary. There's a picture of what the grade difference is. Most of that slope is on the apartment side of the property line. So they built that up, they planted those trees, but the toe of the slope is where the fence would go. And if you look at this diagram, you can kind of see right there at the base of those trees where the fence is. Well, the first row of apartments would look over the fence, so it really wouldn't achieve screening anything. And again, going back to their plantings, if they were to plant those trees, they would have to cut down trees to plant trees. They would cut down mature trees to plant new trees, and that probably wouldn't really achieve the purpose of a buffer yard. So we're supportive of this, of both requests on the east and west side. This is just a snapshot of their site plan. Again, they will plant everything else that you see in that northeast corner. They're going to waive, again, the tree planting and the fence. All the other plantings that are required by the buffer yards would be installed. So we're supportive of this motion. If you're interested in making that, this is a good way to word it. It can be a little cumbersome given there's 2 buffer yards, but I'll answer any questions that you have.
Before I open it up for the applicant, can you clarify, I think one picture, go another one. Okay, that may be the best depiction of it, but you can see on the west and the north, they're still, and I'm making a statement for the commission mainly, they're still going to be planting some trees.
Yes.
Can you clarify, or is there a better picture than that? Because there's still plantings, just not the plantings that are specifically required for buffer B. Can you?
Yeah, so the interesting thing
Okay,
is
yeah.
this blue line, if you can see my cursor, that's roughly the property line. There are already plantings on the north side of it from the original buffer yard and landscaping. So these are basically the plantings they will be required to put in on their side of the property line. So on the south side of the property line. And the same thing over here. These are plantings that will be put in on the east side of the other buffer yard. So it's almost like they're doubling up the plantings. But the property line is back here, so these will be in front of it. Does that answer your question?
Yes, yeah, I just wanted them to be able to see that clearly, that it's not that they're not going to do anything. They're still going to do, in my humble opinion, plenty for what's needed. But that, any other questions to this, everybody? Okay, I would open it up to, do we have the applicant or a representative of the applicant for this? I don't see anybody. So I guess nobody will speak to it. Okay. Well then, by regs, we'll open it up to any public comment of anyone that's here that would like to comment toward this application. Yes, sir. And if you would state your name and your address, please, if you would.
Edward Olson, 1918 North 24th Street. I have a unique perspective. I live about 700 yards from the development and also a member of the church. So I get both perspectives there. I walk this property, drive this property almost every single day. So I'm very familiar with existing conditions, and there's a lot of mature trees also in that north east quadrant behind the old farmhouse there. That was mentioned, but it's already pretty thick with some native trees on it too. So the fact that the church is already going to be planting more trees than what's there, I think would suffice for the screening. But there's a lot of redundancy in putting another fence. I mean, if you put a fence on the other side of the road, essentially you're just channelizing the road, which leads to some safety issues, I think, with visibility, and you have sight lines, and who knows, kids could be walking down there and spray painting fencing because you're basically shutting off visibility on two sides. So you just have this small channel. It'd be like taking the SP fire just down that road. So that's sort of an 8-foot fence there on one side. It's buffering the Creekbridge residents on the other side of the road. And then on the north side, those apartments are quite a bit higher than where the church is developing. Putting a fence there would just be pointless. You'd just be looking right over the fence. And it's counterproductive. So I think this is on the government variance, but the alternative plan is justifiable. Again, by resident. Some partiality being the church as well. Thank you. Question?
Nope, that's good. Thank you. Appreciate it. Anyone else? Seeing no movement, we'll go ahead and close the public portion of the meeting and turn it over to the commission for any questions or comments that might be had. Everybody seems to be pretty good. Be looking for a motion. Uh-oh, Adam's got one.
No, I just had one. Are any of it's hard to tell from, I drove over there, but are any of I know that in that preliminary plan that they had, that the northeast had the mature trees. Do any of the other existing vegetation along the north or west, are they within the boundary, or is it just the northeast as far as keeping current vegetation all along the north or the west? Because there's quite a lot there, but it's not, I just didn't know how much of that outside of that northeast section that you showed there. Oh, back one.
Yeah, this photo is taken from the west looking east.
Right,
And you can see the green area is this toe slope of the apartments.
right.
Megan may be able to qualify this, but I don't think so. I think if there is, it's probably just stuff that's kind of sprung up and it's, I don't know if I want to say
You want that next
noxious.
picture? You want
No,
to,
this is helpful too.
okay.
But just going back to the, again, redundancies, if we're having, is that the goal of that ordinance, is that it would be on both sides? Or at least one? I guess that was I'm trying to interpret the ordinance is in these situations where you have new property, is the goal to have it on both sides or just have at least that one? Because obviously if you've got existing stuff and then we do a new one, that's what a new one is obviously there for, to make sure we have a buffer yard where maybe it wasn't previously required at another time. So I'm more of the, I know this is, alternative is still less, but is it still more redundant than it needs to be is my question.
Yeah, this question you ask is a good one, and it's a bit of a can of worms.
What I figured.
The way Ozarks ordinance is written, it basically illustrates the need for a buffer yard to occur when something is already there. And it goes by use, it doesn't go by zoning. It's very specific. It doesn't talk about this district versus that district. And it speaks to the notion that nothing is there and the buffer yard is intended when something triggers it. But there's no qualification to what you're asking to say if something is already there, then there's no need to put another one in. It doesn't say that. So we're kind of obligated to require them, but there is this path to kind of give them some relief. And the language, the word that I couldn't think of a moment ago was that the ordinance says if it's impractical, putting a fence in there, planting trees where there are already trees, where the geography, the elevation doesn't really make sense. To us, that's where the impracticality of it kind of becomes present. So not to get off track, but this is probably somewhere where we need to do another ordinance cleanup and kind of deal with the effect of an existing buffer yard. Or there's a lot of places where something's zoned commercial or it's multifamily or industrial, and somebody by ordinance would have to come in and install a buffer yard or plant a buffer yard where there's nothing to buffer from.
Right.
And some other issues with the code, Ozarks code, is it deals with use. There is no really use within some of these zoning districts. It basically says anything that's a commercial service.
Right.
Things can occur multiple places. You'll see that with the next case too. So.
Right. And obviously this is, especially on the west side, very unique where, and it's not always that somebody owns that. Sometimes it's an easement, sometimes it's something like that. But understandable, I guess. I'm the first one to be all like, let's have more native vegetation, but just, I guess my question is, I was curious if they are submitting something trying to require more than what is practical, or if they're like, no, this is good for us, or if this is kind of a middle ground to try to, I want an alternative plan, but I don't want to take it too far. That was my only question and comment about it.
I think some of the required plantings also deal with the perimeter landscaping too. So it's almost doubling up in that regard.
Right.
I think our fear would be that they try to say that there's a invasive Bradford pear or Cleveland pear, and there's an outcropping of those. Well, those aren't native plants that we want to preserve or
Right.
protect.
100%.
So we'll, that's not a part of our code, but
Right.
it should be. So we'll take a look at that when we finish the site plan review.
Okay.
So.
Do you know if eastern red cedars are included in that too, or just the pears?
We don't really have a list. We're just
Oh.
using anecdotally, we know those are
Right.
ugly trees.
I
to
thought I
avoid.
saw an ordinance there where, or within the buffer yard ordinance, that it had to be native and
Oh.
couldn't be.
Megan?
I think in the purpose of the landscaping, it encourages native. There is a section that, maybe not in the buffer yard, but just not allowing for invasive species, but we
Right.
also don't have a list of that. So.
Right, okay. That was, I'm like, that's the last thing we need is more invasives, but
Yeah.
just checking on that and curious.
So the other confusing part is this property is zone C2, but it's a church, and churches can really go anywhere, but a church is very akin to a commercial site.
Right.
A lot of parking, headlights, a lot of activity,
Right,
sometimes at odd hours. So
yeah,
we applied it as a commercial use.
right,
There is no church use per
Right.
se that would trigger a buffer yard. So
Right.
in that respect, we kind of lean back on the zoning side of it,
sure.
even though again, our ordinance doesn't say zoning. So
Well, I think along those lines, the apartment building was required to put in perimeter landscaping, but they didn't have to put in a buffer yard there's nothing south of them. So in the same thing along that north-south access road, they didn't have to put in a buffer yard on the east side of that, right? Because they're up against, nothing exists, there's no use. So now that the church is coming in, the commercial zoning has to buffer from the residential zoning.
No, I think it did because it was R3 and R1, right? Like they had.
yeah, I thought I had a picture of that here. I'm sorry. Am I dreaming? There it is. Yeah, they did put in a buffer yard.
Well, I mean, they didn't buffer yard to the property to the east. I mean, they put in that perimeter landscaping, but, right? I
No,
mean,
I think that is east. I think we're looking south, right?
Yeah,
Right.
we're looking south there.
So those trees along
to
that
the-
street are the buffer yard.
But
Yeah,
but there was no requirement. They didn't have to put in a fence.
I think it's the difference of, this is a buffer yard A that didn't require a fence. The fence on the west side does have a fence because it was single family west of there.
Right.
Does that answer your question?
Well, I just trying to expand on what Adam was saying. I mean, the commercial zoning now is coming against the residential, so they're having to put in I don't have any issues with the
Right.
alternative landscaping plan.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Well, but all the clarification we're getting should help when we try to clean up the ordinance, right?
Yeah. I think so,
Yeah,
this is a,
I mean, I don't
this is
think,
a
I don't
typical
think there'd
issue.
ever be a case where a residential zone property would provide sufficient buffer yard for the adjacent commercial property when it developed.
right.
The commercial is always going to require more, or should. And so even if
Should, yes.
apartments put in something, it seems like the commercial would have to put in some additional.
Yeah, if Megan's grinning over there, because if you read our code, your scenario would trigger a residential subdivision to build a buffer yard if they were going in against a commercial, which is usually not how it works.
No, yeah.
So it's usually first in
Uh-huh.
is
Right.
depending on who's the more aggressive or more restrictive use, either gets away with something or has to do it. So,
Right, right.
yeah, it needs some repair there.
Anyone else? Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Is everybody good? Okay, we'd be looking for a motion to move ahead. Go ahead.
I moved to, or this is staying here. It's not going to Board of Aldermen. Okay. So I move to approve BYVAR-26-0001 as presented in the report and staff's findings of fact.
I'll second.
Hadley second, and roll call, please.
Trevor Branch is absent. Adam Brown.
Aye.
Kayla Berger is absent. Jeff Garrison.
Aye.
Suzanne Daniel. Pete Renfro. Lacey Colbert.
Aye.
Hallie Goldberg.
Aye.
And Chad Zickafoos.
Aye.
The ayes have it.
Thank you. All right, moving on to the next item on the agenda is BYVAR 26-0002. Property location is Lot 7 of the North Ozark Industrial Park. Property owner is CTD Properties LLC. Alternative landscape plan request, modification of the buffer yard B landscaping requirements along the southern property line. Mr. Whitman.
Yes, I don't know if it's a coincidence that we got two of these at once, and this is, as I understand it, like the third time you've all considered this, so what are the odds, huh? But I guess in one night, it's good to go through these and not have to explain this over and over. So this is another alternative to a buffer yard that's required. In this case, to kind of give you the lay of the land, Sunset is on the south side of the adjoining property. So the property is the area there in yellow. It's on the south east corner of NN Highway and Liberty Avenue. That property is zoned industrial, and they're proposing an office warehouse, basically. And the property south of it that triggers the buffer yard is zone ZC2. It's general commercial, and that's where Gabrius Landscaping is located. So similarly, this is a buffer yard that requires a series of plantings, shrubs, trees, and yes, a 6-foot privacy fence. And this is the slide that I intended to show you a second ago, but somehow I must not have put it in the first case, so I apologize. This is the direction we get from the zoning code. Specifically, it talks about B there, or the word impractical is in there, and that's kind of largely what we're relying on. We're also looking at properties that have geography, elevation issues, and efforts to save healthy vegetation and mature trees that do a better job of providing something rather than planting something new. So in this case, again, the property to the south is zone C2. The property to the north is industrial. The proposed use, which is what we go by, could be built in a commercial district. So we're really putting in a buffer yard between two uses that are comparable and they're compatible. They're not really, it really doesn't warrant a buffer yard. Nevertheless, when Gabrius Landscaping went in, they were required to put in a buffer yard A. So on the south side, or if you look at on the Gabrius's north property line, they have a buffer yard as well. So they've got the required plantings, and I've got a photograph of that that'll help kind of illustrate it. The picture on the right is their buffer yard. This is looking east from NN Highway. The property on the picture on the left side is looking west, or is that correct? Yes, that's looking west, and that's the existing vegetation. So, so again, there's already a buffer yard on the south side. A buffer yard would be required on the north side of that property line, on the south side of the CDT property. And that would basically mean cutting down all those existing mature trees to install a fence and then plant new trees and shrubs. And to add to that, there's an elevation drop of about 5 to 10 feet from the property line as you go north. So anything you plant, again, the toe of that slope is going to basically make them impractical from a standpoint of actually blocking anything, balancing any noise, light, anything like that. So their request is to A, waive the fence, and B, waive the planting of any trees. So in essence, they're asking to waive the entire buffer yard, not just portions of it. A little bit of illustration from the site. On the very bottom side of the screen is that common property line. Their building, the elevations, their detention will be on that southern property area, or excuse me, on the northern part of the property, but everything flows to the north or the top of the screen. Again, they're asking for a waiver. It's not really much of an alternative. The alternative is to save the trees, don't cut them down, and replace them with new trees. That's basically their request. So I'll answer any questions I can that I didn't cover.
Anything at this point? If not, I'll go ahead.
Well, maybe I could save it for the next one because it's more of another clarification, but I can wait.
Okay. I'll go ahead and, do we have the applicant or a representative of this property here tonight? Would you like to add anything that Randall said, or are you good? Totally up to you. If you want to say something, I'll need your name and address.
No, I'm starting with you guys have.
Oh, okay.
I can for sure hop in.
Okay, we'll holler at you then. Okay, thank you. All right. Open it up to the public for any comment. Would you like to say anything, officer? Okay. Thumbs up, thumbs up. All right, we'll go ahead and open and close the public portion and open it up to commission. Adam, the floor is yours.
Okay, so this is kind of building off of the earlier discussion we had, where I know it's visible that, for example, to keep what's existing there, if something comes up new like this that has existing invasives like this one does with the eastern red cedars, could an alternative plan be, yeah, you can keep it, but you have to remove the invasives? Is that something we could propose? Because obviously we want to keep the mature trees. And so in my opinion, if you couldn't do a buffer yard if the trees that are existing are trees that you could plant with a buffer yard, but if there are trees there that are not something you would put in there, I would think we would want to use that opportunity to remove the invasives instead of say, that's fine, because it wouldn't be fine if it was new, if that makes sense.
Right.
So that's where my question would be on a clarification with the alternative plan would be to not do anything. I think I would propose an amendment of, yeah, I think the mature trees are fine, but to remove the invasive would be better. Not to put too much of a burden on the property owner, but to me, if it's an alternative, if it's not, like, for example, like on the last one, we're going, well, this would be redundant. And so that would be practical to say that, but if we don't need to do anything for a buffer yard because there's one there, but if that buffer yard wouldn't pass, if it was newly proposed, then I don't think that would be something I would want to get behind. However, because the alternative is nothing, it kind of leaves us with no alternative.
So what's your opinion on when we clean up the ordinance? Can there be addendums in it to address what he just said?
Yeah, I think we would probably want to identify those invasive or undesirable species, and they don't get credit for those. And two, we would require that they be cleared of the site and not just cut down, but the stumps be treated so they don't come back and we don't get a flush of crab trees or whatever. So yeah, I agree with that. And I think D under 2 kind of gets to that when we talk about healthy vegetation. I don't think invasive species qualifies as a healthy plant. So, and two, when we finish looking at the site plan, we will look at that. And Stephanie may be able to qualify. They did an inventory of the existing trees. I think there's 26 mature trees. I don't know the species variety. Maybe she knows off the top of her head. I hate to put her on the spot, but we can take a second look at that. It's hard to tell in the wintertime what a tree is, at least it is for me. Yeah. But maybe here very soon we can take a look at that. And
that would be my only hesitation in approving this, is that if it leaves stuff that we wouldn't want there anyway, we're kind of putting a stamp of approval on that. And because this isn't going anywhere else, I didn't know if there's another process. Like if it does get approved, is there a process as far as, like, is there any sort of code? What's the word I'm looking for? Like if the plan gets approved, but let's say this is a new one, they have to put one in. There's obviously some follow-up on if somebody puts in a buffer yard, somebody has to go in and go, yes, this is the buffer yard that is approved, correct?
Correct.
So I guess I'm saying some sort of checks and balance of, if we approve it, is there a way? Because if we approve it as is, technically those are staying. So that was my question.
I think it's definitely something to look for in the future, for sure.
Yeah, we can take direction from that. I think on this one, perhaps maybe your motion qualifies it by saying, assuming there's no invasive species or undesirable mature trees, the buffer yard variance is submitted is approved. But when we go back and we take an inventory of we can take a second look at the species or ask the applicant's designer engineer to do that. And if we have the scenario you're talking about, maybe our motion needs to be made that they have to reconsider their plantings.
Okay, yeah, that's helpful.
Good answer?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else?
Stephanie, do you know what species the trees are?
I do not, unfortunately. It was a picture that we went out and looked for about 3 weeks ago. So we have no way to tell other than.
I just figured I'd ask because,
I wish I did know, but I don't.
I think we do have somebody on city staff who has pretty good knowledge of tree species, so I think we've done that in the past in Public Works. So we'll do that. If your motion's made that way, we have a hook to make them reconsider. Yeah, they don't get to cut everything down and then don't plant anything. It's one or the other.
Right,
Correct, yeah. I appreciate that.
Go ahead.
First off, Randall, the cedars are the green ones in the wintertime there.
Okay, you got,
Had to have that.
Anyway,
I was thinking of mulberries, okay?
couple questions and then maybe a comment. So I think you answered this already. The city inspects the buffer yards after they're installed, correct? Does the city ever go back out and inspect the buffer yards a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years after it's done?
Well, you're hitting on all
No,
kinds of things.
so I'm going to say I don't think most cities, to renew your business license or whatever the case may be, I don't think anybody is monitoring these buffer yards. They go in, they look pretty, and if you don't water them, the next year they're dead. And so, I mean, to that point, while cedars, are invasive, eastern red cedars are invasive, they are native to the state of Missouri. I don't have a heartburn either way, but anyway, I think sometimes there's a lot of emphasis on these buffer yards, but then if they aren't properly maintained and stuff, then and that's a big issue in other cities. I know there's constant conversation about it, and
Yeah, we have had quite a bit of dialogue
companies
about.
that they install landscaping and get their inspection, and then they come out and they pull all the plants and take them somewhere else. So
Yeah, we've had quite a bit of dialogue about going back a year and looking at required plantings, and it's part of the zoning code. It's a little different than just saying it's a good idea, it's best practices. It's actually part of the approval process that these trees, this number of trees in this space within the site plan are required to be there. It's not, you do it once and forget about it. So I totally agree.
Yeah, because it's different than a requirement for a sidewalk that's not going anywhere. Yeah.
Just to clarify, I thought I'd heard at some point that the buffer yard, the species of plant within the buffer yard was approved prior to it being put in. Was that wrong? Did I make that up?
No, that's required. The landscaping plan has a menu or a schedule of trees they have to plant that qualify as a canopy tree or an understory and then a shrub. And
But species.
yes, it specifies.
It does say that, so
Yes.
they're being told beforehand what they can put in and what they cannot.
That's right.
Okay.
Which
That's
is
kinda that's where you were headed, right? A part of your statement.
Which is also why I was saying, like, if it wouldn't get approved to plant new, why would we approve it to stay? In this instance of, we don't want to do anything, because if we wouldn't approve it if it was new, we wouldn't.
Right. Yeah, good point. Good point. Well, you got all sorts of ammunition for your revision of the ordinance.
Just creating work for you guys.
Every time we get one thing fixed, we find three more things.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Adam wants to be the chair. What else? Good points. Anything else? We're looking for a motion. You gonna include all your stuff? You better go ahead.
Yeah, I know. I'm making out how to word it. Make sure I'm looking at the right thing. I make a motion to approve alternate landscaping plan BVAR-26-0002 based on the report and staff recommendations with the caveat of invasive species not be included in the proposed buffer yard.
Is that acceptable? Do I have a second?
Would be in the proposed buffer yard or in the existing buffer yard?
In the one that's there now.
Yeah.
I think existing would be better than.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is any trees that are preserved are not invasive species. Or-
Correct.
That's right.
I think we're ready to roll call.
Okay. Hadley Goldberg,
I don't like it, I don't like the word proposed, so I'm gonna vote no, and I wish we could re-roll it with existing instead of proposed. So I'm voting no based on the wording. Sorry, Adam.
Suzanne Daniel. Caleb Berger is absent. Pete Renfro. Chad Zickafoos.
Aye.
Trevor Branch is absent. Lacey Colbert.
Oh, I haven't been asking her.
Sorry. Aye.
Jeff Garrison.
Aye.
Adam Brown.
Aye.
Okay, the ayes have it.
Somebody needs to elbow me. Lacey, I'm sorry, I haven't been asking if you're all right with everything.
That's all right. I'd speak up.
Okay, all right, very good. Okay, last item on the agenda. Speaking of ordinances, an ordinance amending the start over. An ordinance amending the municipal code of the city of Ozark, Missouri, chapter 405 zoning regulations by amending section 405.945 regarding dark skies design standards. You're up again, correct?
Yes, sir. Little qualifier, this, like identifying invasive species, the dark sky is not one of my fortes. This is kind of new to me. I'm learning the ropes of this ordinance. I understand it, and I've learned a lot over the last couple weeks. So wouldn't be surprised if we don't refer to Megan, who was here, I think, when this was adopted. She's familiar with this. She drafted most of these amendments. I just volunteered to present it and try to field questions. So bear with me and we'll get through this together. We did present this to the Board of Aldermen Thursday at a non-legislative meeting, as their direction is what inspired these amendments. So we kind of went to them a little bit early and made sure we were covering everything they wanted to. So they've seen this and they will see it again next month. So just overview real quick. We are amending the zoning code, dealing with mainly some definitions and regulations within the code. So we're not doing a wholesale repeal of the entire code and then replace it with a new code. We are actually amending parts of it. So this will be we're going to strike certain words and replace them with new words in the same section. That's more of the legalese side of how it's getting amended, but that's what we're doing here. So we are replacing some keywords, and we'll go over those individually here. Generally, right now the code addresses outdoor lighting as on-site lighting, and there's some changes in national trends and terminology across the dark sky movement, and that's really leaning towards calling it outdoor lighting instead. So our ordinance will do a wholesale change at that terminology, and we will also put a real definition out there that explains what lighting this refers to and what it covers and what it doesn't. And it does include every outdoor surface or light that is illuminates every outdoor surface, building, sign, structure, device, or other feature that's visible from outdoors. And I'll note to you that it does say sign. And while a sign itself creates light and signs are mostly outdoors, we are not addressing sign regulations within this code. That would be a different amendment that may come down the road. But we did want to kind of collect those thoughts in a revised definition at this time. And we're also changing the word skies, dark skies, to dark sky. And that's another terminology change that tends to go with this trend across the nation. So other than that, there's some big language. This is probably one of the bigger things that this will apply. This is a new definition. It will apply to all public and private outdoor lighting. So this includes streetlights. This includes any facility that's owned by the city, whether it's public or private, obviously private. So it will include all those things. And those are the things that the Board of Aldermen wanted us to capture in these amendments, so that this could be applied to new streetlights in a subdivision, and it could qualify when a streetlight has to be repaired with a dark sky compliant fixture and when it doesn't. And we'll go over that in more detail. But I do want to clarify that this does still leave the exemption in there for single family homes. So Hadley's house, if he doesn't have a fixture that's dark sky compliant and he wants to put a new light bulb in it, he can put the old light bulb in it. It's exempt. He can put a dark sky light bulb in it. It doesn't matter. It does not affect residential properties. It doesn't affect residential homes. Street lights in a subdivision, different story, but it doesn't affect single family or two family residential homes. So that's a question that commonly gets asked. We're also adding a definition for the term Kelvin. This is an existing term that's in the existing code. This just gives a little bit better clarity. This standard, the 3,000 Kelvin or less, that's the same standard that's in there now. This just, again, just provides a little bit more clarity. And the Kelvin really relates to if you've seen a light bulb that's yellow versus one that's so bright it almost looks blue, that temperature change is rated, well, basically that chart there shows it. So the 3,000, it has to be 3,000 or less in the city of Ozark. The previous ordinance allowed that, measured that only for the downtown neighborhood or the downtown district and the core overlay districts. This amendment would extend that across the city. It just wouldn't be downtown in Ozark. It would be the entire city would apply to that standard. The bug rating doesn't change whatsoever with this amendment, and that has nothing to do with insects. There is a provision in here to, so right now, if you buy a fixture on Amazon or at a store at Lowe's or whatever, sometimes they'll have a dark sky approved seal of approval on it. Most of them don't, but the actual ratings for the fixture or the actual lighting source will comply. So there's a process where they can submit the details about that fixture during plan review and we can qualify them and they don't have to buy a high dollar expensive fixture that has the seal of approval on it. So that's listed in the revised ordinance. And again, non-conforming lights. A good example is if a church wants to come in and they've got somebody runs over one pole in their parking lot, knocks the pole down, has to be replaced. They do not have to replace the entire system or that pole and that light with a dark sky compliant fixture or pole. They can go back and replace it with a like fixture and pole just like they had for the rest of their system. What would qualify them to replace it all is if that church sells to a retail store and they come in and they're doing upgrades to the entire site. They're changing out fixtures to the entire lighting or outdoor lighting system. Everything would have to be come into compliance. So some, and that would be typical if they're changing the use within the store from a church to a restaurant or from retail to something else, they would have to comply with the building code and the rest of the zoning code. So I hope that makes sense. Other minor updates, it does clean up and make the language for outdoor lighting or landscaping lighting, whether it's bistro lighting or it's just lights in the flowers and things like that, makes it a little more clarifies what lights are approved and how they're allowed. In a variety of language, the ordinance has been shortened quite a bit by just doing some cleanup in the existing tables, removing a bunch of redundant language and kind of cleaning that up as well as some other definitions. So that's the ordinance amendments in a nutshell. Again, you may have questions that I can't answer, and I'm ready for Megan to jump up and fill in here if I missed something.
Go ahead, Susan. Go ahead.
So if, say, it's a church and they're remodeling for some reason, would they be, mostly the interior, would they also have to, they wouldn't have to do the outside?
No.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else got anything for right now? Go ahead.
Couple questions. On the major updates for outdoor lighting, I like the definition that you have on the slide. It was like the first slide of your major updates. It says any light source that illuminates an outdoor surface. However, in your definitions section for outdoor lighting, it says light generated from an outdoor source that provides illumination to the surface. So my question is the giant dental sign that you can see from a half a mile away is not outdoor lighting. However, it lights up the outdoors. And so this definition would address that sort of stuff, but the one in the section A wouldn't, in my opinion. Is that the intent?
Give me the term that you see that in so that I'm.
Outdoor lighting, the second to last definition in section A. On the second page, middle of the page. You've added the word outdoor lighting in front of everything. And so it says light generated from an outdoor source. I think it should be better to say light generated from a source, period, that illuminates outdoor surfaces. Who cares if the source is inside or outside?
We actually talked about that. We
But I
talked
put up a
about,
lighthouse and put a huge beacon in it that just,
yeah, or they build a store of glass and they leave their lights on all night and they're,
anyway, I think that wording could be improved if that's the intent. I mean, here's another example. Giant inflatable marshmallow on NN. I mean, that thing, you can see that from, 6 blocks away. And again, I think limiting it to outdoor sources may be too restrictive. And maybe I'm misreading that, but that's the way.
No, I understand it, because I think that definition being different, that one's better.
They don't match.
Right,
That definition is better than the one in.
right.
do I have the wrong definition up there, Megan?
I think it might be, because we did have a discussion about that, and right now, I think it was determined that we would keep it just being the outdoor lighting standards and not anything in indoor, but that would be kind of a next step in terms of requiring it. It's been an adjustment to get people on board with providing the outdoor lighting, so we weren't ready to take that next step, but I think it definitely is, and especially if people are on board with it.
Yeah, I mean, something to note, maybe, this is step one. Maybe there's an amendment in a few months or a year. And I just think we just got to keep our focus on it. Because again, I mean, not only something like the dental clinic doesn't meet that dark sky, it also doesn't meet the sign requirements, right? Because it's not an external sign. So there's no code, there's no city code for that digital billboard inside their lobby. And I think we just got to consider that stuff when we're reviewing that. Next question. Would this apply to Liberty Electric and the subdivision lighting? I know you said subdivision lighting, but like if they come in and replace the street light, would they have to comply with this or?
We're actually working, it was intended to address all new street lights that go in. So if a subdivision goes in and they provide the lighting for the entire street, they would have to be dark sky compliant.
Right.
They're working with Public Works right now on a standard, fixture that complies with the shutoffs and meets the foot candle requirements and all that in the same Kelvin rating. So I think to answer your question, if they have an existing light that just requires a bulb replacement, they would not have to make it dark sky compliant. That's it. If it's in an existing subdivision and they're just updating one light, no, they
But
wouldn't.
if they're replacing the fixture at the top, like in my cul-de-sac, they took out the halogen or the high pressure sodium and they put in an LED light that lights up, the entire street, which in some ways is good. But I mean, if they replace that light fixture, they would have to meet the dark sky other than just.
I don't think so, because from the way I read it, it wasn't fixtures, it was the entire apparatus. Is that correct?
Yes, it's
Yeah.
the entire apparatus and such.
Like, I know we mentioned bulbs, as if we just changed a bulb, they don't have to. But like, if there's a pole, that's how I read it, is that like, it's not just like, if you have to replace a part of the whole thing, it doesn't have to. But if you replace the whole thing, it has to. Is that what I was reading?
Yes.
Okay.
So if you take the head off an existing street light pole and you can replace it with whatever you want. And I just want to make sure I understand.
Yeah, that was my question too.
That, you might want to look at that too, because
Step two, too.
I mean, because again, like in ours, we have in our subdivision, it's these fiberglass, white fiberglass poles, and they just replace the head
Right.
when they're upgrading, it's more energy efficient and so forth, but they're way brighter than the old, bulbs. So
The neighborhood next to me, their Kelvin must be 12,000. I mean, we had to put in like blackout curtains just to sleep. Yeah.
Last question for now.
Real quick. So part of that is the city is reviewing our franchise agreement with Liberty.
Okay.
And I think some of those things will be addressed in there. But I think generally Adam's correct. If they replace that fixture, they could go back with the fixture, a like fixture, even if it doesn't meet the Kelvin ratings or any of that stuff. If somebody hits the pole, theoretically on that street, they could replace the pole and the fixture with a like fixture that doesn't meet the requirements as it's written. Just like the parking lot of the church scenario.
If
And I
it's
could
on a
be, I could be
pole,
wrong about that, but I believe that is the
Kind
way.
of something that just jumps out at me now as I'm thinking about this. So if it's a fixture on a pole, you can put back whatever fixture you want, but if it's a fixture on the side of the building, you have to put back the dark sky fixture.
No, you could go back with a like fixture
Okay,
also.
Really? Okay.
If they were, say, redoing all the outdoor lighting on a commercial building.
Yeah.
And it was a new use and they're just updating everything and all of it would have to be brought up to current, the new ordinance. One fixture would not warrant that, no.
So how would it, no, let me interrupt just a minute. Devil's advocate. Company's got 10 exterior lights and they decide we're going to do one every 3 months to avoid
Yep.
having to do all to dark sky. I mean, it's just another amendment to your second go, I think.
Like a car dealership, I could see doing it like that. 'cause
Yeah,
I wanna keep it, you know,
absolutely.
very
I mean, I'm not,
No,
yeah,
Or
there's
just
people
as
that'll
these
do
burn
that.
out, you just replace them as they burn out, and now you have all new ones,
Yeah.
but they're not compliant. Just something to think about.
yeah, theoretically, I think that could happen. I guess theoretically, somebody could go down a street and take a BB gun and shoot every one of them
Uh-huh.
out. Now, they all have to be replaced, so now they all have to be dark
Well,
sky
yeah.
compliant.
There's a
So
lot of what ifs.
there's a lot of what
Right.
ifs, so.
Yeah.
Some of those we haven't thought through, quite honestly, but
No, it's all right. Last question. Item G talks about non-conforming existing lighting. I just wanted to make sure that didn't apply to single-family residential homes. It doesn't, I know you said earlier it didn't, but I don't know that it's called out in that item G if single-family residential is excluded. So if Hadley wants to replace his front door, you know, the light on his front porch, does he have to get a dark sky?
I think the exemptions under H
Okay.
would relieve Hadley from having to replace that. Am I right,
Okay.
Megan?
Okay.
Is that where the,
Yes.
Yeah, it's right
I
there.
see it. Thank you.
So, yeah, I guess that was my clarification too of outdoor lighting is any light source that illuminate, kind of like what you're saying. It's inside, but it's illuminating the outdoor, like, does it, that would apply to if a light is affixed to a building, it's not just lights that are independent, you know what I mean? Like if, like you've got a sign out front and you've got spotlights shining on it, that's not that's affixed to the ground, or like floodlights affixed to a building and stuff like that. I was just curious of that when we're defining the outdoors, if there's any sort of differentiation between like affixed to a building or not.
I think our real goal, even though it could serve both purposes, if a fixture is on the outside, whether it's on a pole or on the outside of a building, if its intent is to light up something outside,
Mhm.
whether it's the ground or it's the landscaping, whatever, that qualifies as a fixture that this would regulate.
It's more all encompassing by
Right,
saying it that way.
Again, if we had a bank that has a glass exterior and it is a giant light bulb in itself and they don't even need outdoor lighting, unfortunately, this would not
Right.
address that at this time, so.
I think that was more of my, like clarifying that it's not,
It's a whole,
is it illuminating the outdoors, not, is it like an outdoor light, you know? I
Yeah.
think,
it very much gets to our issue with the signs. We've got these big LEDs
yeah,
that put off a lot of light, but that's really a sign that needs to regulate. And there's ways to regulate that lighting from nits, is that right, Megan? Where it's a different measurement and
Mhm.
how active is it, how bright is it, and where is it the brightest, or where do you cut that brightness off?
right. And that's more of the outdoor illuminating a sign, not necessarily the sign itself provides illumination, but that would be like out front here, if there was a light shining on the logo on the building, like
Right.
that is illuminating a sign or something like that. Yeah.
And I think there are ways to address that with cutoffs. And,
Mhm.
you know, we can actually, we can measure, we can require the designer to measure the foot candles at the property line and what all those things are. And we can
Right.
require those things to be brought into code, but somebody's going to come down the road and their intent is to light up all of their property adjacent to 65 highway with
Right.
the intent of being a attention-getting
Right.
device
Right.
or that they want light on their building. And there's going to be some challenges there, and
Sure.
those will take design standards, I think, that are independent of the dark sky code.
Right.
Suzanne, go ahead.
Does this address temporary lighting for like special events and things? Because there's, whether it be a commercial or private, because I could see like a commercial, say the church across from the dental place having that giant searchlight that, does this address anything like that?
If you go to subsection 6 and 7, it addresses holiday lighting. Megan, jump in here. Low voltage holiday lighting, and this is where it speaks to. It doesn't, I don't think it specifically mentions searchlights or.
Yeah, I don't think it does specifically.
Might be nice to add that for.
Yeah.
It does say low voltage.
I don't think we thought through that scenario of having a temporary lighting. I think it depends on the time frame that it would be up and such. Because I mean, if it's not permanent, but could be there for a while, we could require a photometric plan to make sure that it's not negatively impacting the neighboring property and complying with our ordinance.
Or some kind of permitting process where you could apply for a
Temporary.
temporary
Yeah.
permit or something. Like if they're gonna have an event down at Riverside Park, where there's a lot of lighting built into the park, but I could see that being something.
Yeah, I think the intent was for more permanent lighting, so we didn't really consider that.
So there is these pages aren't numbered. If you look at section H, number 4, B, movable lights such as spotlights must be mounted so that the lights cannot be directed higher than 20 degrees below the horizontal, 20 degrees below there's a word missing there. Lights must be measured from I think it's attempting to address that. We may need to look at that as well. Does that ring a bell, Megan?
That one does not, unfortunately.
Well, I think that what you just said addresses part of what Suzanne brought up,
Right.
but maybe not in totality.
I don't think that word is horizon, and it's got an extra TAL in it either, so. So your recommendation would be to allow them on a temporary basis, or?
Well, I think Adam had a good point, maybe develop some kind of permit system for temporary lighting. That wouldn't, I don't know if it would apply to this ordinance itself or be listed somewhere else.
Maybe it could be kind of fused with the holiday lighting that
Yeah.
there's some language there that speaks to that has to be taken down so long or before.
So did it say special events too, or does it just say holiday?
Just as holiday.
Seasonal.
It says federal observed holiday. They got rid of the federal observed, so seasonal.
Seasonal holiday.
But that can be vague.
Yeah. I think it could go in there pretty easily.
Yes.
Even if there was like an A underneath that, like an A or B, something where it just said, hey, in a specific scenario, or, God forbid, when we had the situation with the officers that passed, I had 3 questions when it comes, I've been very
Yeah, I know
patient.
I know you're coming.
Okay.
I think part of our concern with the 1 month before and after is, well, I mean, I know I've got family that will put them up and leave them up all year.
Yeah.
And 2 months may be enough and not enough for somebody else. So where do you draw the line?
Right. Well, you gotta start somewhere.
Yeah.
Can't make everybody happy.
So my questions are real okay is on H5. So I have
Turn
2
your mic on.
questions. I'm sorry. 2 questions. Number 1, you brought up the dental office. The dental office, I think, is not part of Ozark that you're thinking of.
No.
But here's something that does cause a lot of issues, and you guys may be surprised as me bringing this up. The scoreboard at the high school. So all the time you see that on Chit Chat. Now I walk out of my front door and I look to the left at 5 a.m. in the morning. and that scoreboard is visible. Now, the question is, does the scoreboard fall underneath that because it's fixed? I mean, at 3 a.m. in the morning or 2 a.m. in the morning, no one needs to see the scoreboard on at the high school. And I know that's been a big issue with a lot of people in my community have complained about that because we're kind of on the hill where we see that right away. So I don't know if that's something that would tie into this, but that is something in Ozark proper that how would that fit in with this? That's my first question. It's always on. Like, I know people are trying to say, like, I don't know why. I don't know why they can't dim it in the middle, you know, like, I don't get why it can't be dimmed at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, or just off, yeah. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know, that's something like the OHS scoreboard, that's something that's in the city of Ozark, and that is a big issue. My second question is, I know we get this issue a lot where things come up with the baseball stadium. So we have here on letter G, it says a strict curfew of 10 p.m. or 1 hour after the end of play is observed. To me, an hour for that stadium, that seems a little bit too long. I think at the end of play, I think an hour is too long. If a game goes late, it goes to extra innings and doesn't get out till 10:45, are we going to let them keep those bright lights on till 11:45? If there's concerts and other events there, like that's something where a lot of times we have people in front of us that are complaining about that and I say the Ozark Duck Stadium, I know it's now called a different name, but that's kind of my question is what does it look like that like if I think of two, and once again, like, you know, if there's a high school football game, 30 to 40 minutes afterward, it's cleared out. So, I mean, I don't think that they need to have those bright lights on for an hour. It's okay after 20 or 30 minutes to go to those dimmer lights where the custodians are cleaning and stuff like that. But I question whether the hour is too long and then that piece on the scoreboard for the high school, if that ties within this.
I agree with you 100%. I think those two examples that you gave would fall under the sign ordinance and not the outdoor lighting ordinance, because especially the old Duck Stadium, I mean, that's a, you know, it's not being illuminated by a source. It lights up itself. In fact, the state of Missouri, the DOT has got on to them numerous times because they're not allowed to advertise any off-premise products. You can't put Coca-Cola sign up there, Bass Pro, Top of the Rock, you name it. And they do it constantly, or they have. I haven't been by there recently, but they get violation, notice of violation from the state because it's not allowed. But anyway, I wonder if those two examples, the billboard and stuff, that would be more of a sign thing and not an outdoor lighting.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm thinking just of the lighting, like the bright lighting, when I know they had that Christmas thing there and I know that didn't come back, but I mean, there was times where that was like, you'd go by like at 11:30 at night and they'd still have all those bright lights up there, and technically they're going to say that was holiday lighting, but it really was more of a commercial. So I just don't know how those fit in. And it kind of, when I look here and see like ball diamonds and playing fields and things like that, I think that kind of ties in more with, like, we don't see the tennis court lights on at 11 p.m. You don't see some of those on as much. Or even at the OC, like I know, or not at the OC, at the ballpark down here, I think all those lights are off by 9 p.m. I mean, so I just didn't know how that would tie in here. And I question whether the 1 hour is too much to have that still same bright lights, but maybe we can say after 30 minutes, it goes to a more subtle lighting.
Are you talking about section H, number 5?
H5, yeah.
Yeah.
Looking at G potentially, and then.
My question on that one too was, do you think it would, and again, I know we're talking semantics, so this is the place for it, but having a phrase in there like such as ball diamonds, playing fields, and tennis courts instead of a direct statement like ball diamonds play, so that it can be more general on purpose, which again might extend to, like, when I think of recreation, I would think of events.
Yeah.
That might be a way to encompass the event, because that's an event at a fixed place, right? You've got a ball diamond with fixed lights and stuff like that. But if there's any temporary lighting, if it's for recreational purposes, I think an event would be considered recreational. That might be a way to tie in if we made it more general.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it needs to be like addressed. I mean, yeah.
But I think Chad had a good point. The scoreboards, I think, can be controlled better under the sign ordinance rather than dark sky ordinance.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
But it needs to be addressed for sure.
Well, and I'll call it out before one of you do. We recognize that we said all public and private facilities, and jurisdictional battles being what they are. Liberty Electric is one entity, getting, not that they wouldn't, maybe they would be, but the school may be a different animal and they may be not willing to comply, and I can't promise that. That's a tough one, but we can try to get there. But
We have
certainly
those.
for any private facility that, whether it's a ball field or anything like the Duck Stadium zone.
Lacey, you got anything, my dear?
No, I think everybody covered it.
Okay, just holler out. I think we've talked, I think the only thing I need to do is open it up to the public for any comments that might need to be made. I don't see any movement. That's okay too. So we'll close the public portion and open it back up for any further comments or a motion to move forward.
We didn't need to vote on anything. We just wanted, yeah.
No, you're asking for movement, correct?
Yeah, this is a zoning amendment, just like rezoning a piece of property, so, it's gonna be tough to put all of that into a motion. I think we've got some good direction that we could,
Well, I think.
Is this something can be tabled and brought back from editing, or would it have to be a motion and then not approved if we wanted editing?
I think there's the want for movement based on.
We have to make movement. It can be tabled at the alderman level. Is that correct?
It can be, and
I just didn't know if we could table.
Well, we never have, but I don't know. That's a new question.
I
for
feel like
me.
we have one time.
Have we done it?
We tried to do
Well-
it one time where we couldn't get a clean vote on
Yeah,
something, and then that was a different.
The only thing I would mention, and I think we brought up a ton of good points, there's no question. But if we could have assurances from our city staff, make eye contact with me.
yes, sir, I'm
Okay,
listening.
you're with me. That this is a revision one or of another revision to come, I think I would be, I'll just speak for me. I would be comfortable to move forward with that agreement from the staff side. Because I think we all know we want the betterment for our community. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, I think I think we had quite a few comments, but help me if I'm wrong. This is the kind of the list I have, is that we characterize scoreboards as signs, and when we come back and address those, whether they're LED signs, the movement signs, any of those, we'll address scoreboards as an outdoor signage element at that same time. So with respect to Hadley's comment about curfew of 1 hour after, do we have a recommendation? Do you want to say 30 minutes, 45 minutes? That's,
I mean, I'm just saying like less broad, like my piece would be that is that not turning off not turning off all the lights, but saying after 30 minutes that the lighting, there was something in here where it mentioned like the lighting was more subdued for, let me see if I can find that, sorry. There was a piece in here that's mentioned like how the lighting would be.
cut to 80%.
Yeah,
or
like cut to
something.
80% or cut something where like it says, but maybe must be adjustable based on the task, active play versus field maintenance. So something like that, where they're working on the field, they don't need 100. I think that's what I was looking at, kind of that E level, you know, but maybe they don't need, I don't feel like they need the full brightness for an additional hour afterward.
Okay. I think I get that.
Go Suzanne.
Under a strict curfew of 10 PM, does that mean it at 10 PM? Or does it mean that if there's like a rain delay or something that they can go until the end of?
Yeah, if it rains till midnight and they're determined to play till it stops raining, that's the way it's written.
Yeah.
I mean, the reality is they're not going to call us and check the zoning code before they continue to play, or if they, I mean, it's important. I don't mean it's not, but they're going to do what they've got to do to get the game finished if they're that determined. So I think that the caveat there was knowing that 10 PM is a pretty hard deadline and that somebody's probably not going to follow it. But we could definitely add some language to it that kind of speaks to number 8. Was it? Yeah, that it cuts to 50% of the, or 75% or something like that, within 30 minutes of the curfew or the end of play.
I think within the end, yeah.
So are we happy with 50%?
I mean, I don't know what that number would be to be safe. I mean, I don't want it to be too dark where it's not safe either. You know, people are leaving, but I feel like,
Oh, we got to start somewhere.
yeah, we got to start somewhere. I mean,
50%.
I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, if we approve and it goes on, it's not necessarily a guarantee that the council would approve, they might want to kick back and do revisions as well, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
So I think
Yes.
that's where, as a draft and having faith and trust that maybe revisions, but you would have to, if there's an approval with certain revisions, those revisions would be made before going to the council, but then they could also request more revisions before they approve. And so I think in the essence of time and not wanting to go back and revise this 5 times or 3 months from now, 6 months from now, considering we meet monthly, council meets bi-monthly, they could make more revisions before we even meet again. Correct? So I think,
Well, because
well,
whether our outcome is yay or nay, it will still proceed to the council, no matter what.
right.
Yeah.
And that, I guess that was my point, is that we won't, and I imagine there's more public at the council meetings.
Jinx this for next month.
Yeah, no. I'm saying that the council meetings, there might be more public opinion or more people that have an opinion where we could make certain revisions. I guess all I'm saying is, like, it's not like we're the end all of this one. If we don't fix it before it becomes an ordinance, there's still chances to change a couple things.
yeah, and the way the timeline would work, we would present this at the first meeting in April. And by the time they'll have their public hearing and before it comes up for a second reading, it would actually be in May, and we will see you again before the second reading. So we could make, if you can make a motion to support it with a few adjustments, when we present it to the Board of Aldermen next month at their first meeting, we can have those amendments made for them to see.
Right.
And we can provide them with your feedback, and we'll see you again before they actually pass the ordinance.
Right. And that, I guess that was my point, is that if we make an approval with recommendations, that will be changed before it sees them.
That's correct.
So what?
And I would just add personally, I'm okay with the 1 hour as somebody who has had to clean up a event venue before, where I do think it's probably practical to, you don't need 100% of the lighting. Even at Hammond's Field, it's not, they also have a lot of manpower there to clean up that place. So I guess what I'm saying is, I don't know if we're necessarily, I don't know what the word would be, educated or of what that time would be. And so getting maybe more time to get public feedback on that would be important before we write it in, and then we're coming up 6 months from now making another change, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. I guess that was just my thought process of going through this.
But along those lines, because this is zoning code, if the Board of Aldermen would want to make any amendments to it, wouldn't it have to come back to P&Z? I mean, can the Board of Aldermen modify, revise the zoning code without going through the zoning commission?
That's a great question.
Oh, that's true.
I don't know that answer for 100% sure, but I believe they can make modifications. It just has to go back to first reading for them. We can confirm that for you guys, but I believe that is the process. It doesn't go back to P&Z.
I mean, because along those lines, it seems like then, if that's the case, then the Board of Aldermen could revise any zoning code they wanted to whenever they wanted to, and wouldn't have to come through P&Z.
I think it's got to come back. I think.
Otherwise,
We can confirm
I
that.
don't know. I'm just asking.
Yeah.
But I would think that if they would amendment, or if they would want an amendment, they would send it back. They would remand it back to P&Z and say, hey, fix this or change, amend this or revise this, and then, or let's vote again on whether we agree with their amendment or not. And then it would go back. They could still, even if we said we don't support it, they could then vote it in.
Right.
But it seems like that would be the process.
Yeah, I think that the way around that is if they're gonna vote on it, and they may say, well, we appreciate the feedback that the Planning and Zoning Commission gives, but we're going a different direction. They can do that.
Right.
So they very well could approve it as is without following your recommendation. They have that
Right, and I understand they could, like, if we approve it with conditions or recommendations, they could strike those down and just approve. But that's all been considered in public hearing here. It seems like if they want to amend it, that it would maybe need to go back, but maybe not. But
Yeah, I think they would respect your input for sure. And
Yeah.
We will definitely include that, convey that.
Randall, real quick, can you, or if anybody's taking notes on these, what we have already mentioned of things that would want changed?
I think Randall's got the,
Okay.
Yeah, so the
The
other two
notes.
things I had, we've got, I think it's under 4B, we've got a sentence there that's incomplete, we need to address that.
H4B, I was going to say that,
Oh,
the
H4B.
horizontal on the horizon, yes.
Right, and I think that's where we would also address Susan's mention of making sure that, what were they, searchlights were in the temporary section rather than there, or that they're in both places. We'll address that. So yeah, my list is to address 4,
H4,
H4, and the
H4B.
the temporary lights, and fix that sentence, address the 5G. We'll base that just tentatively at 50%. And I think tying it back to that reference above, based on the task, that makes sense to me. And then we'll include scoreboards and things like that as a fix for the future as part of the contract.
And then I think the only thing I wanted clarification on is the definition of outdoor lighting. Is it, I think we had mentioned we preferred how it is set up in the slideshow over what is written in the code. Is that?
yes, but I think they said they were going to save that for another amendment that they were going
well, if we're
No.
gonna change it, if we're gonna change it now, might as well change that.
Well, that was my clarification. That was my clarification.
I think I'm paraphrasing it there for presentation purposes.
Well, I like it.
I like it too.
He likes it better than that one.
I do. I mean, I'm with you on that.
And which one was that? That was,
I think it's A under the definitions.
outdoor lighting.
Yeah.
So A, yeah, it's not numbered or anything.
Because this, the way it's written in the code change recommendation, light generated from an outdoor source, which could be interpreted as a sign. Right? Because a scoreboard there's light being generated from that source. As opposed to this is any light source that illuminates an outdoor surface building structure. Whereas
That would cover.
because this is light generated from outdoor source, so that could be a LED sign. Whereas this does not address that, and that's where I was trying to get clarity on. The whole sign scoreboard thing is a separate issue than this, correct? Or were we trying to say, no, we want to include that in this?
Well,
Because there's no way to do that.
The signs and billboard are a separate ordinance covered under
Right.
different requirements. The difference here is that this definition on the major update slide would include indoor lights that light up stuff outside. Where the definition in section A, specifically outdoor lights that light up outdoor stuff.
Right.
That's the only difference, whether it's the lighting's outdoors or indoors.
Mm.
And it seemed like the initial intent was try to get this updated, focus on the outdoor
Right.
lighting today with the assurance that within some time period, a year or so, we would see potentially another amendment to address the indoor lighting that was,
illuminating outside.
yeah.
Okay. I'm good with that, if everybody's okay with that.
So we're okay with the
Or is
definition?
it- Yeah.
Yeah.
So to clarify, we have two, we want to approve with two amendments per H4. And I wrote down 5G. Is it 5G or G5?
H5G, yeah.
Can we say it that way and it's sufficient so we know what to go back to
We could
do?
even say H4B because it's specifically H4B, Jeff.
What's the 5G one?
No, I'm
The
trying to
curfew,
find
the
that.
1 hour curfew.
Cell towers. I'm just kidding.
5G.
5,
No, 5E. Not
5.
So it's H5E.
Well, like we said, we try to tie the G in better with the E. That's what we're looking at. So
I don't see, where's the G at?
the strict curfew of the 10 or 1 hour, and then the illumination based on the
Oh.
task.
So we really wouldn't change E, we would just make G kind of include some of the language from E.
Yeah.
So it would read something like a strict curfew of 10 p.m. or after 1 hour of the end of the play, depending, based on, the lights will be adjusted to
Appropriate illuminator.
appropriate illumination based on the task. In parentheses, such as active play, field maintenance.
Yes.
We still can't find the H5.
So it's under outdoor recreational use. It says basically the next to last page.
It's,
H5
The
so
last
it's
page on front.
H5.
E.
E and G kind of merging those together. is what we're
I don't,
saying.
there's no G.
It's actually F.
Not subsection G. Okay.
Okay.
Can I get up and come around?
Oh, yeah.
He's correct, it is H.
H5, mine only goes
Is
to F.
it H5E and F? Is that what?
It's H5.
H5.
I'm not finding
G.
it.
This is the
Oh,
separate
you
one.
have it.
Yeah, do you guys not have the separate one? You guys
No.
have a different one than me?
Yeah, I don't have that.
There's a separate ordinance one that I have.
No, that's what we're looking at.
Okay. And then it's just right
But
here.
yours is different than ours.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Can I see for a second? I trust you. I just.
Yeah, no, even the first page is different.
Yeah, you have a different, yeah, yours is E. Yeah, that's interesting. You have E and C. So yours is different. Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, because you don't have the numbers changing.
We do, but that's not red.
Okay. I don't know. Okay, so that's, but see, the A and B's up here. See, I like it better with the fresh A. Like our A is up here separately.
Right.
I like it underneath here where it jumps down and does A, B, and C.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
You see that, Megan?
So which copy do we use?
Oh.
We use mine.
Let's use yours.
Yes, use red.
Whatever copy you
Does that make
got.
sense? Maybe where, yeah, that's,
Tell us.
but I like it better with the clean, like I think it
Yes.
should be clean there. And then I
That's
think it
E.
should restart with a fresh AB.
Tell us the reference from your
Yes.
copy, and we'll put that in the motion.
And can I ask one question real quick?
Yes, Lacey, go ahead.
I know we keep saying that the signs are going to be, the lighting for the signs are going to be under the signing ordinance. Do the signing ordinance specifically speak to dark sky standards, or are their lighting standards different than the dark sky?
There are currently no dark sky ordinance standards in the sign ordinance, but that's what would be adjusted to make the sign, outdoor signage compliant with our dark sky.
Okay.
If that makes-
Did you hear that, Lacey?
Yeah, so basically all the lighting stuff, everywhere that lights are mentioned in the code, it's going to be the dark sky standards for
Yes,
commercial properties. Okay, perfect.
yeah, there's one specific line that refers back to chapter 407, which is signs.
Okay, awesome.
Good question, Lacey. Thank you.
Wait, so Randall, are yours and Hadley's the same?
Yes.
Yeah, it is
Oh.
now. I understand what you're talking about. Now, we did not start the renumbering with A, we started it with C. Do
No.
you see that, Megan?
Yeah.
Because this matches the electronic PDF, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're the same as us. See, theirs just resets to A here and then they go back to A, B, C.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to use Randall's copy to designate changes.
Yeah, and it, assuming we had outlined it, numbered it correctly, it would be 5.4B, which is where we've got a sentence that's incomplete, meaning the horizon and horizontal repair. And then we have 5G, and I'm calling it E, because, and that's the line that speaks to the 10 PM or 1 hour after play.
So we're going, this is just a generic statement, so bear with me. When we make a motion, we're going to motion for approval with adjustments to 5-4B and
Yep.
5-G That's what you told me?
No,
And it would be H.
So letter H in front,
In front of which?
in front of everything. H is the first.
Oh,
letter.
H
H
is
is-
the section, 5 is the
H.
subsection.
H5,
H4B is for everyone.
H4B, don't put a
You guys have
five in.
H4B,
Yep,
and then the other one would be H5E
E.
on the new one, E on theirs.
Correct.
Yeah, E on your guys, because it's E on yours, yes.
Yeah.
okay, so H4B
Mhm.
and H5E.
Yeah.
Are the adjustments.
And then the third one is H6, and that will deal with the temporary, we're going to add a section there. We're going to speak to the searchlights being the temporary.
So there's
lights.
three.
So H6.
Yes. So there's three.
H6 is the third.
So we'll need to make
With everyone's.
three separate motion for those three items and then a motion for the entire dark sky thing.
Yes.
4 motions total. But in each motion, we can't just say edit H4B. I mean, we need to be specific.
Yeah, I think you could make a motion. We recommend approval as presented with the exception of an amendment to H4B, H5E, and H6.
So it
As
can be
presented.
one statement
Does that allow
with three.
the Board of
amendments.
Aldermen to strike any or all of them? I mean, could they strike out 5E? With it being one motion, can they pick, I guess they can.
Well, they can do
like.
whatever they want.
If we're only a recommendation, then I don't think it makes a difference.
So we don't, so it does, maybe there's no need
Yeah.
for separate motions.
But like, this is gonna have to change 100%.
But also
we're
they
not
can
gonna keep the
make it work.
horizontal. So like,
No.
some of it's gotta
Yeah.
change.
So.
Right.
So are we ready to make a motion?
Knock yourself out.
Are you ready for it?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Go,
for it.
turn on your mic,
All right.
make it clear.
So I make a motion to approve the zoning code amendment to dark sky design standards with a recommendation for an amendment to H4B, H5E, and H6 based on staff recommendation.
I'll second that.
Roll call.
We have to do the difficult ones, Jack.
Chad Zickafoos.
Aye.
Caleb Berger is absent. Pete Renfro. Hadley Goldberg.
Aye, sorry.
Lacey Colbert.
Aye.
Just something you think is easy.
Adam Brown.
Aye.
Trevor Branch is absent. Suzanne Daniel. And Jeff Garrison.
Aye,
The ayes have it.
thank you. Okay, that was great. That was awesome. Let's just list them off. Discussion, I'll go ahead and skip by that. Commission comments. Anyone have any comments they'd like to make after that?
I do.
Great discussion.
Yeah, I do. This is more of a civics question, I guess, for the city. If we were experiencing enforcement of a city ordinance that we believe needed to be changed, what would be the process of petitioning a change in that ordinance?
What's the source of the ordinance? Is it zoning? Is it subdivision regulations? It is a
No,
nuisance?
it's not planning in, I think it's city. I actually don't know.
If it's just part of the city code, but it's not in
City
chapter
code.
405 or 410, then it would follow a similar process, but it would just be city council would consider amending city code to address.
But how would I go about making a request?
Probably the easiest way is to honestly convey it to us, the city administrator or your alderman,
Okay,
and ask them to initiate an amendment to city code.
okay. Okay,
Good answer.
but we've had some issues with, or maybe I just need clarification, but we've just been having issues with trying to figure out where it is legal to ride bikes in the city, so.
That would probably be the police department. That would be street. Chad probably can answer this better than I can.
Well, it's also about the nature of the vehicles too.
The nature.
You're not talking about
What's
e-bikes,
that?
are you?
Yes and no.
Okay, so, because Don was talking to us about this, actually, you can ask this question. He was asking us the other day. It's weird because we almost have two city ordinances that contradict each other.
Right.
And so we're coming into this a lot. We've had an issue where a student was actually struck by the high school 2 weeks ago, riding a bike, e-bike, no lights, everything else. So Don is aware of it. They're working on it, but I know Lieutenant Dry has been he's been diving in on the city ordinance and trying to get us a clear understanding of what, because there's bicycle, motorized bicycle, scooter, and then at some point it turns into a motorcycle,
Right.
just based on foot pegs or the CCs and everything else. So it's all kind of blurry because you can do a bicycle on the sidewalk but if it turns into a motorized bicycle, has to be, if it's more than 30 inches and has foot pegs, then you can't do the trails or the sidewalks and everything. It's very confusing. So I know they're working on some clarification as far as that's concerned. I don't know. And I know because Don was even asking us the other day because someone had brought it up to him.
Yeah, that was my wife.
It was you.
Yeah, that was my.
And that's like I said, it's one of those situations that we're, and I can share what information I have provided.
And we can talk later. I was
Sure.
I was curious because the way it's written, it's like bike with zero motor and then bike that is can be propelled without pedals. And there's a lot of hybrids.
Well, and that's
out
just
there
it, is I don't think the city ordinance specifically is written to encompass all these new
Right.
types of bikes.
Which is what I figured.
And then it almost, like I said, there's almost two city ordinances that actually almost contradict each other
Right.
based on what we have with all this new technology and everything.
Right.
So yeah, it's very confusing. They're working on it. I know he had sent Lieutenant Dry an email about clarification, and he got back this huge response and he goes, I don't know what any of this means.
Right.
So I tried to
Yeah.
simplify it and put it in layman's terms almost for him, but it was still very confusing.
Yeah, no. And that's why I tried to, there's a balance between safety and liberty. If we want the kids to be riding bicycles, but we want to be
And
safe.
that's my bread and butter, 'cause I'm a traffic unit, so
Yeah.
I get it. It's frustrating. I want kids to be able to go out and enjoy themselves and do these things, but I wrote a ticket the other day I wrote the dad a ticket because he's 14. He was doing wheelies on CC Highway. At
Right.
CC and 22nd, it's like, oh,
Right.
you can't be
Right.
doing that. So
Right.
one of those things that,
Yeah.
at one point I'm glad they're outside riding bikes, but at the same point we have to be
Yeah.
conscious of what we're doing. And
Yeah. And I'm trying to instruct my son, who's also 14, with an e-bike. It's pedal assist e-bike.
Yes.
So it doesn't fall into either one of the categories.
Yeah, it's
He's a goody two shoes, so he's trying not to, but.
Well, I can share with you what our cheat sheet is that we have currently,
Uh-huh.
and then if that changes, I can always share later on.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But that's why I was curious of what the proper thing to bring it up if we do need to make clarification to an ordinance.
When the alderman just passed the ordinance about trail usage on trails last fall, so it's relatively new.
Yeah.
And is that a separate ordinance?
Hang on one second.
I shouldn't have brought that up.
Well, like I said, it's becoming an issue. It's an issue.
Yeah.
We're getting a lot of complaints because it only takes a few bad apples to ruin it kind of for everybody. It's kind of and that's what I'm dealing with.
And it's not like we're not Boulder, Colorado. We don't have bike lanes everywhere,
We don't, and that's the thing is, and so I mean, but they classify this, we have a motorized play vehicle, motorized bicycle, motorcycle, and then bicycle. So all of those things have different
Right.
meanings. But we don't have a city ordinance that really encompasses all of them under one group. They all have different subsections as far as that, so.
Sure.
Where does a lawnmower fit in?
What's that?
Where does the lawnmower fit in?
Yeah, well, and it's all, yeah.
We
That
see
has four
too.
wheels.
It's, and then you start throwing ATVs and. UTVs.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it gets confusing very quickly.
Right. Well, and I understand it how it's written, but then, like we're talking about here, if we need to make some changes, how could we make a proposed
And
change?
I think that has been brought to his attention. I think
Yeah.
that is one of those things that they've established there's probably some confusion.
Yeah,
So they're identifying where those issues are. I know that, and this is, I'm not a part of the conversation, but I've overheard the conversation.
Sure.
So I know that they're asking those questions and they're trying to get some clarification
yeah,
brought up to city council, and that way we can establish that, because that is one of those things that gets brought up a bunch on chit chat, what's the rules here, what's this and what's
Right.
that, and so I have the information I have now that's
Yeah.
been provided to us, but essentially, yeah, it's,
well, he wants to sell his bike and get a new one, so I want to figure out what we can actually get before we spend money on it.
Oh, yeah. 'Cause it's-
Yeah,
Okay,
anyway, sorry to.
thanks. No, you're all good. Yes.
Hey, real quick, if you haven't had a chance to see the new baseball field yet, tomorrow at 3:30, Mike Essick Field's being dedicated. So if you don't get a chance to go out tomorrow, definitely try to check out the new baseball field. It's really nice. Also, tomorrow night is meet the candidates for the school board. So please make sure you get out and vote.
And there's a meeting here, right?
Yeah, the charter commission
Yeah.
is,
A lot going on.
yeah,
A lot going on tomorrow. Comment,
nothing.
Ava. The mayor's not here, so I don't have to ask him. All we lack's one thing,
I'll move to adjourn.
second, and they all said,
Hi.
aye.
Bye.
Thanks, Lacey.
All right. Thank you guys. Have a good evening.